often do you read books set in less written about places that you love? I'm asking you that. Please do tell me in the comments, but I want to talk about this book, Neil Ansell's The Circling Sky, because this book was and is an answer to that question myself. And I got it because it's about the New Forest in Hampshire, which is a place I love and never get bored of. It is Ansell's nature memoir. That's the category I'd put it in anyway. So it's very reflective and it includes a lot of the forest's history, but the writer's individual thoughts and own recollections with it are the most important thing. And it focuses on a year's worth of visits to the New Forest that Ansell made in 2019. Yes, the introduction is interesting. He wrote it later. He used to go there a lot as a kid and he's been there a lot less as an adult and wanted to get a bit of nostalgia. Because he's taking the train each time from Brighton to, it's either Brockenhurst or Lymington, I can't remember. Because he's doing that, he doesn't go a ton of times and also doesn't get like an entire day there. But yeah, he sees a lot of stuff. He definitely seems to have the most interest in birds. They do get a lot of his words. Sorry, I've just rhymed there. Apologies. But he does look at wildlife as a whole. And it's just nice. It's peaceful and you can enjoy his wanderings around with him, which is lovely. That said, I do have a small quibble here. While he does mention the specific parts of the forest he is in sometimes, I do wish he'd done that more often, or preferably all the time, because some of the areas sound like places I'd like to visit. I would have liked like a mile from X place. Would have been great. One note I want to make on the birds, going back to that for a moment. This is where Ansell talks about the progression of his lifelong hearing loss. So you get to find out about nature writing in that regard as well. And there's also quite a bit about his childhood away from the forest too. So that's also interesting. The best parts of the book that I found were his historical accounts of the forest in years gone by. For example, I never knew that it was home to many Romany people in the past, and so I went through that particular chapter, first really intrigued and then quite angry when reading how they were effectively rounded up into groups because they weren't wanted by the local authorities anymore, and they'd lived happily as roaming people for hundreds of years, so really there shouldn't have been a problem, but that's how things are. The other part of the book I liked the most for its history and considered discussion was the chapter about land ownership in the forest, which also moves on to discuss land ownership in the UK in general. Like, did you know that if the land was divided between everyone, we'd all get an acre? Yeah. No, neither did I. There are a few references to a few other books on the New Forest in this book, particularly older ones. And so, yeah, I want to read them because I think it'd be interesting to get those older opinions in that context. But yeah, suffice to say, I did enjoy this one and I will likely look out for other books by Neil Ansell in future because I really enjoyed his writing style and it was just very personable.